fatal heart impacts, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose. Pick a new silver excuse, I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, whenever we last left off with this series, we had Izuku Midoriya, and well, he has made a new friend, in the likes of a girl who would be from Class 1B in the canon timeline. Her name is Yui Kaido, I believe. Now, Midoriya and Yui did chat, and have learned a little bit about each other. Now, we also did have the UA entrance exams, where there was a small rumor going around about somebody mercilessly destroying the robots, and their destructive power. Now, Tokoyami didn't look too much into that. He assumed that it was Bakugo. Bakugo always does have the headstrong tactics on his side. And he does actually have the power to back up anything he does say. Now, he was disappointed that Midoriya did not show up. It felt, well, wrong not to be here with his brother. And it felt like he just turned his back on what their father has done. Now, with that being said, Midoriya was at UA for the entrance exam. However, he was just trying to keep a low profile. Now, we actually do then have Midoriya and Yui in their situation. Midoriya was able to find a place not too far away from UA that would be the perfect spot for both of them. It somewhat is like the motel they were staying at. However, there is a few differences. It's a small little apartment complex. It's more or less sort of like a hotel kind of, in the way it does look. You can straight up walk directly past the area and you would think nothing of it. It's not that big and it's actually just the perfect size. The rooms all each have their own separate staircases and you only share one wall with your neighbor. That's it. And if you were stuck in between two of the buildings, you usually share both walls with a neighbor. Now, Midoriya, he does like this whole setup. And he went to go buy a room. In fact, he wanted to buy the entire area just to make sure that whenever people do get out of his hair, he can basically stay anywhere. Now, Midoriya was successful in doing this. However, there was only one problem. At the current moment, only one apartment is vacant. And kicking everyone out is gonna be sort of, well, counterintuitive. Midoriya knows that tactically that does throw a lot of suspicion his way. If he kicks everyone out, then that does mean that he's probably up to something. And people will also file complaints, he'll lose money that these people are paying for rent, and a whole lot of other problems can be caused by this. And he did want to at least stay somewhere in the meantime. Midoriya was able to inform Yui of all of this. And whenever moving day showed up, the person Midoriya bought the place from was kind of surprised. These two are very young, and yet at the same time they're both moving into an apartment together. The person wondering about it all. Both of them are extremely young, but if they would have to guess, the boy does look somewhat familiar. However, there's also that cold and, well, nature he does seem to have about himself. They can't really piece it together too well. It seems kind of strange. but they're not going to question it. Now, they just think that Midoriya's father's rich and he found a girl he liked, but the parents were not approving of it, so Midoriya and her just took off with some money. Now, with that being said, we do actually then cut to a week later. Midoriya, he has been healing in this time, and there's been no reported sightings of this vigilante. Now, there is the first day of UA. Tokoyami and Bakugo are both walking to the school, and they're talking about it. As Tokoyami is trying to avoid the topic of Izuku, and Bakugo, he does know that it's on Tokoyami's mind. Both of them got letters of acceptance to that place. However, it should have been 3 of them. Now, they would walk into class, as they do see 2 people in the room. Momoya Yorozu and somebody sitting in the back row, as they're facing away in a hoodie. Now, Tokoyami does think about how he remembers that person in the back row. He didn't really pay too much mind to them, but they got in. Incredible. Now, you do actually have Momo, who would ask these 2 a few questions as they're walking in, as more and more people do begin to show up. Now, you do actually have Midoriya, who was this mysterious person in the hoodie, him facing away, as his earbuds are playing music. Okay. Maybe I can try starting over here. Trying to figure all this out, and maybe get back on track. This would be a good idea. But then again, I still have to get rid of those guys. I can take out everyone close to that man who is currently in prison. And I know he's gonna get out soon. The charges against him aren't concrete. Even then, someone's been paid off, so they're gonna get him out anyways. Wouldn't be too bad of an idea to just probably get in. Or no. That's stupid. Get myself caught and head to jail just to kill this guy? I'd have to be insane to do that. Now, there actually is somebody who does tap onto Midoriya's arm and try to ask him a few questions. Midoriya actually barely turning his head as it's somebody Midoriya can't see. As Midoriya does go back to doing what he was doing, the person realizing that Midoriya might not be very talkative. Now, there is actually then whenever a commotion is started. Ida, who is currently yelling at Bakugo because of him putting his feet up on the desk. Bakugo casually telling him to just try to relax and not be so stressed out about everything. Now, Midoriya would hear this commotion through his headphones, as he would turn his head and look, as his eyes do widen, before he does realize that he knew this was going to happen, as he does go to stand up. Now, everyone would turn their heads and see the guy who hasn't been paying attention to anything going on finally moved. As Midoriya would go to bring his hands up and pull the hoodie over his head. Now, the moment Midoriya did do this, after the hoodie is pulled completely up, his face is revealed, and Tokoyami's eyes do widen. As Midoriya did just say, "Hey little bro." Now, everyone was quite confused, as Tokoyami did come running up to Midoriya, and basically almost tackled him into the wall. Now, Bakugo was just as surprised as well, him leaping out of his seat onto his desk, as he just talked about how did he even get in here? Now, Midoriya, he would somewhat laugh, as his blood does run cold whenever he does see somebody stand up. Now, you do actually have a Eraserhead, who does get off the floor. And the moment Midoriya did see him, he almost went on the defensive. Now, Eraserhead would talk about how they're all being very loud, as he does turn to see these two. He recognizes both their faces from a police report. Hmm? Ah, it's you two. Hmm? Mr. Who are you? Hmm? Tokoyami, that's Eraserhead. Hmm? What? Yeah. You don't know who he is? Hmm. Interesting. Not many people keep track of me in the hero rankings. How do you know about me? Hmm? Oh, well, that's kind of complicated. What do you just think? In his head, he's thinking, fuck, the guy who stabs him is his teacher? Shit, okay, this is not good. He got in way over his head. And this is just the first day. Shit, this can't get any worse. Now, Midori is thinking, it's a good thing there's nobody stronger than him around. Now, we actually do then have where he does talk about everybody going to get changed for a fitness test, or a core comprehension test. As this all does happen. Now, Eraserhead is also thinking about the vigilante, who does masquerade as these two kids' parents. Now, he does try to think about Tokoyami, who his quirk is not a fit. Along with that, he wasn't even physically capable of doing it around this time it happened. And then there is Izuku Midoriya. The kid could certainly do it, but at the same time, he was still physically recovering as well. And from what he has heard from the younger brother, the kid is barely even back in the country, along with their heated reunion in the classroom. Now, there is actually whenever everybody is changing in the locker room. Midoriya, he's still sitting down with his clothes on, since he has not budged a muscle to attempt to take off any clothing. Tokoyami is also already taken off his shirt, and someone did ask about the strange dots on his back. To which Tokoyami, he kind of would try to explain it. And you also do have Denki, who he was asking Midori if he's a bit self-conscious about the way he does look. Denki trying to at least urge Midoriya to get changed, and try to mess with him. As Baku does try to explain it whenever Denki did go a step too far. Now, Midoriya would talk about how he's not comfortable changing in front of them, as Tokoyami would explain that he got it worse the night they were attacked. Now, Denki does ask a bit too many questions, and it does piss Midoriya off, as Midoriya would pull up his sleeve and his gloved hand does go from a regular looking hand with a long sleeve shirt to a very scarred forearm. As you have Todoroki, who he was able to see that very clearly. Now, everyone would walk away, as Turkey does lament on what might have happened to Midoriya. He does know about his father being a pro, but there's more there to that. Was he physically abusive? It's an interesting idea. Now, Midoriya would get changed, him pulling off his shirt as he does look down at his bandages and think about the stab wound he did receive. It did heal up for one day. Then he was up and about doing the entrance exam. He mainly did just focus on using the gun idea that his mother has taught him whenever he was a kid. That idea never seemed to work, because he couldn't focus enough charge into the beam. Then again, there's now. He can just siphon off the energy from an outlet and make up excess energy he can't produce. In fact, it even packs more of a punch. It's more of a shotgun. He blew off a guy's leg with this beam once. Now, Midoriya would change, and Eraserhead would ask about why he was so late. To which Midoriya, he would just hold up his arm, as Eraserhead does see it. Now, Eraserhead, he wouldn't pay any mind to that, and continue on with his test. Now, Bakugo is the one to go first, since Midoriya, yeah, he came in second place while wounded. Now, this test would go very differently. Midoriya, he does seem to be lacking physically. However, he is also giving it his all with his quirk, since he's able to quickly move forwards, and basically create constructs of light to help him out in his fights. Now, Eraserhead is very intrigued. This quirk is very similar to Nightcrawler's quirk. However, there's just one difference. Midoriya's quirk produces pure light constructs. You can see them, you can feel them, and they're somewhat bright to look at. And in fact, it's like someone's shining a flashlight in your face. Now, the test does go off, and Mineta is kicked out. Now, after that does happen, the first day has concluded, and Midoriya and Yui, they would both walk back to the apartment together. As you do actually have Tokoyami, who he was confused as to where his brother went after the school day did end. Now, these two were talking for quite a lot today, and Tokoyami, he did want to know where Midoriya was staying. Now, you do actually have the walk home with Yui. So, how was Class 1B? How was Class 1A? Wasn't too bad. But, yeah. Something freaky happened to me this morning. Freaky how? Well, you know that guy I said stabbed me? Apparently he's my teacher. Now, you would just stare directly at Midoriya and ask him if he knows he's the vigilante. I don't think so. Either way, he didn't arrest me. I mean, as far as he's concerned, I'm just a kid. Besides, with my backstory, me not being in the country for the vigilante, it gives me an alibi. I can just talk about how I was here and here and here. However, at the same time, since I was a foreigner who doesn't know the language, no one can verify if I ever spoke to them, if I made contact with them, or even what I would look like. So, hopefully that does not happen. Especially because I can just feign ignorance about a bad memory. Huh. Interesting. Yeah. It seems you kind of have this all planned out. No, not really. I'm kind of just making it up on the fly. It's making my head hurt. Well, I kind of get that. So, whenever we get back to the apartment, did you want to make something to eat? Sure, why not? But then again, I think dinner might be better later. I don't know. I've been skipping a few meals, so I kind of need to catch up on nutrition. Go ahead. I'll just make something for myself later. I need to take a nap if I'm going to go do vigilante work. I'm not used to being up during the day. Well, you're going to need to get used to it now. Yeah. I get it. Now, Midoriya, these two would get back. You actually do have Eraserhead, who he has not been following them, but he was kind of concerned about it all. Going over the information about this vigilante. Now, the idea that Izuku Midoriya could do this. One of the two sons becoming an avenging angel for their father. The idea doesn't sound too far-fetched. as he just tried to remember the night he encountered Nightcrawler. He couldn't see what the guy was doing. He couldn't see the guy's quirk. And foremost, he knows he got a hit in on the guy. But there's just one problem. He claims to have been out of the country whenever everything first went down. It makes sense from a logical standpoint. Get out of whatever is distressing you. Specifically, he chose Japan was making him freak out. And then a few days later, or almost 2 weeks later, he was supposed to be in a train accident. That must have spooked him, so he got as far away as he could. From there's not really too much of a paper trail. He must have paid cash for everything else since he withdrew money. This is annoying. Now, with that being said, Aizawa does conclude that Izuku Midoriya cannot be the vigilante, especially with his injuries. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.